Welcome to another AMA with Kadena Project Network. In this episode, we'll be speaking with the team from Alpha Slayers Club. This conversation was recorded on August 17th, 2022, live on Twitter Spaces. The views and expressions in this AMA do not represent the views of KPN directly and are not to be considered as financial advice. Please make sure to do your own research on the projects presented. Also make sure to follow our account to be alerted of new uploads. Now let's get started. Enjoy. So welcome to another AMA with Kadena Project Network. We got Alpha Slayers Club joining us today. So I don't know, for everyone listening, let's do the usual roundabout of the run through of what Alpha Slayers is all about and what you guys are bringing to the table.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, great. Thanks for having us again. I think we had this. We talked on one occasion, right? And we had this unfortunate clash with, I believe, Mock it was. But yeah, like amazing to be back. And I've listened to a few spaces of yours recently. So yeah, crazy consistency you guys have. Anyways, yeah. So Alpha Slayers Club, for those of you who don't know, so we are a alpha sharing community and our project 50/50. And yeah, so basically how this whole idea emerged was because my co-founder, Kingslayer, and we've been around the crypto space now for a few years, and we were mostly active in the Ethereum world as well as Terra while it was still fun. And yeah, so basically, pretty much like many other people, we actually got into it through the investment side. And after we kind of realized that there's a lot more than just Bitcoin out there, and maybe Ethereum and Litecoin or so, whatever stupid crap was offered at our exchanges. Yeah, we kind of fell into the rabbit hole, no pun intended actually, but maybe we take this as a branding. But yeah, so what then happened was obviously that we got our fingers burned, and only when we ran into people that actually knew how to look at projects or how to set up you know, maybe a little bit more advanced trading strategies. That's when we kind of started, you know, building up a little fortune and you know, making a bit more predictable bets on like primarily small cap projects and as I said, like some more I guess complex trading stuff, and yeah, so that's what really kind of brought us into the game. And there's also how we stumbled upon Kadena, and that was late 2021, so right about the right time. And yeah, that's basically how we got into the ecosystem first. And yeah, we also thought that, you know, this is a this is actually you know, something for our watch list. And then towards the beginning of this year, we were throwing around some ideas. Hey, you know, we kind of want to get into the more active part of crypto, right? Rather than just, you know, consuming information and maybe making an investment here and there. And yeah, and that's basically where we combine the two things, right? So we said, hey, like Kadena is like a super interesting bet, like a macro bet, you know. And we think that, you know, basically the same thing that has happened early end of last year might happen again, right? And wouldn't it be nice to actually have a project around and maybe start it before everybody else thinks it's obvious, right? And yeah, again, that's how the two things combined. And I think we're now 5 months in almost. Yeah, I think we started late March, and yeah, we built up a fantastic community. We're super pumped to, you know, to be having so many people that are active around the whole space. Also being with us, and you know, also having this regular exchange. And yeah, so we're super excited. And yeah, just some technicalities. I mean, we're going to be talking about the Hypercent launch, I guess, quite a bit. And so we also have an NFT collection. So all these bunnies you see running around Twitter, those are coming sometimes from our through our hands, and yeah, we're planning to. So we're basically like, I don't want to preempt the whole story of tonight, but we're nearing our mint date, and yeah, but I guess that's then something we can get into.
Well, I guess it kind of sounds like we might as well just get right into what you're here. What we're here to talk about sounds like is the fact that you guys are going to be launching through Hypercent. So how did that all come about, and what made you choose to go with them?
So how this came about was, I think at some like it was already like 3 months ago or so. So relatively early into our journey, we were actually contacted by I think it was Andre from Hypercent, and um, yeah, he basically said it straight up and said, "Hey guys, we kind of like what you're doing, and we think that would be pretty decent to have you guys on our launchpad." And yeah, then I mean, we obviously knew about them. We also knew about KD Launch and some other formats that we could have done something with, and yeah, basically he explained to us like how it would all go down, and like what they would expect, right? So we would, I mean, we're docs by now anyway, but that was kind of part of it. And then we spoke about who's gonna write the contracts, and who's gonna get the keys, and what are the shares, and all these kinds of things, and like how do you deal with the whitelist. It's like a little bit more complex, as with many other projects as well. And yeah, like it was like, just in terms of the procedure, it was super convenient. So I can just highly recommend these guys. Like they basically took away like so many of our question marks, like in during this first conversation already. And yeah, it's been very supportive. And yeah, so that's basically the how this whole thing has started. And as you might know, we are going to be the third NFT project launching on through that platform. It's also going to be on Marmalade, obviously, so not taking any shortcuts there. And so I think we had mock first, if I'm not mistaken, and then right now we're waiting for Kongs. Unfortunately, there was a bit of a delay in that schedule, so that's kind of pushing us out a little bit as well. But I mean, in the end, for us, it's not so much about we don't try to time the market in any way. But we're just super excited to be finally moving forward with this. And yeah, so that's basically the what's gonna happen over the next few weeks, right? So I mean, I'm kind of I've learned my lesson not to commit to a specific date in crypto when you have dependencies with other projects. But so I think it's like reasonable to assume that we're anywhere between, I think, 5 and 7 weeks or so from here. And I think we're probably, I hope that we're going to end up at the shorter end of that timeline.
Now, as far as the bunnies themselves go, have you guys got that completely finalized and have started like generating, like, just to see what they look like and things like that?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we're basically done with all the different layers. And so I think we have, don't quote me on the number, please, but I think we have well north of 200 and something different traits. So it's rich. And of course, not every combination works, right? So like it's a complete mind fuck to, sorry for that, but to actually put these together and then to build in the constraints. So that's still ahead of us, but like we've got all the scripts ready and so on. So like in the end, it's just going to be a push of a button, and then a lot of basically trial and error and understanding. Hey, these combinations don't work, but that's, yeah. I mean, we've done this before, so it's definitely doable. And like the part that is kind of taking quite a while, much longer than we thought, was actually getting the art ready. But I think for the past, I think 2 weeks or so, it's really just refining some of the stuff that we, where we think, hey, like this could be improved a little bit. And also, we're working on quite a few one-of-ones right now. And so they're also going to be injected into the collection, of course. And it's basically unlimited, right? I mean, you can really get the creative juices going on that end. And so that's now pretty much what we're doing. But like the bottom, or let's say the bulk of the collection is definitely done. Yeah.
So just to make sure, these one-offs that are going to be kind of special, I guess in some other terms of NFTs, people use like the terms legendaries and things like that. They're going to be injected just randomly, so they can be randomly minted along with any other combinations.
Yeah, correct. So I think so that there's one thing that we haven't made a final decision on, and that is the team NFTs. Because we have these custom builds that are, I mean, they make sense for Lazo Slayer, right? But maybe not as much for somebody else. And we don't know if we're gonna put them into the actual collection, or if we're just gonna make like a separate one, or if we and then that's probably not what we're going to do, but you could basically also insert them at the beginning and mint a few ahead. I think it's going to be one of the either the first or the second option. The other one-of-ones that we're going to put in there, they're definitely going to be randomly scattered around the whole collection.
Now, the ones that you custom make for like yourself or team members and things like that, if you wanted to actually have them minted as NFTs, could you not just have like a separate collection that's just special for them, just that you hand out to your team members? It's not something that can be put on the market. You can make it so that they can't be sold or traded or anything like that.
Yeah, that's what I meant, right? So either we, exactly. So either we don't put them into the collection in the first place, or we just make a separate collection. But then like right now, it really doesn't make such a huge difference if you then actually turn it into an NFT, other than the fact that then you have if you have it visible somewhere. But yeah, that's probably the most sensible. But just in the case of the team, but I think we have. I don't know the exact number, but like 15 to 30 or so one-of-ones. So they're going to be totally separate for sure.
Awesome. I know I've been looking through like all the sneak peeks that you guys have put out, and I can't wait to see kind of the one-offs that come out, and if any of those are actually one-offs that are going to be in the collection. Can you say that, or whether or not?
So we certainly have some one-offs in the sneak peeks, but yeah, like it's you'll know it when you see it. What we did was we have a few media references, so those are going to be like pretty obvious, I think. And then we have like some, I guess, insider jokes that we that we kind of developed over time. They should be distinguishable. But besides that, of course, we also have a rarity curve, right? So there's going to be features that are a lot more frequent and a lot less, and then you have like a RAN where you're basically like a distribution running over all these, right? And then you get your some expected percentage of rabbits then have a certain feature, right? Or a certain feature just occurs in a certain number, and also that is probably going to be obvious to the eye, right? So there's going to be like some where I see, okay, so this is definitely something that you don't see every day. And that's also the whole point of it, right? Of course, there has to be some bottom of a collection, right? And we actually try to optimize for that, so that those still look like pretty decent. But then, of course, like you've got some very unique features, and of course, they're also going to be part of the collection.
I think out of all the sneak peeks, the one unique one that kind of sneaks out the most to me is the one of the rainbow colored one that is looking like he's either puking out bees or bees are flying into his mouth or something like that. I was like, that's kind of different. I don't know if that would be considered a weapon or just a novelty thing, but
Yeah, so that was actually one of the very, very first sketches. So like it's crazy that you're bringing this up now. But this is actually making our Figma crash the whole time because it's like super detailed. You don't see it on the picture, but it's like I think flies flying out, and they're all individual flies actually, right? And like super. I mean, like on the PNG, it's like super compressed, but like it's pretty HD in the source file, and yeah, like I dread this one, but just because it makes my laptop go a bit slower, yeah. But yeah, interesting one, yeah.
you can even see just in the sneak peek picture in the Discord, there is little wings on their bodies and stuff. So it's definitely, you can tell it's like bees or flies or something for sure.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how many, like you said, if you have 200 different traits and layers to these things, it's going to be very crazy to see what gets definitely generated out of it. I'm sure, as you guys have seen, the things that can get thrown together when you throw all these layers into a random number generator are just things that most artists probably could never even think of. You know, like it's quite crazy what can come out of it. So I'm definitely going to be excited to see. Now, when it comes to minting, I assume that since that's going to be handled by Hypercent there, that are they going to be like, so they're going to be numbered obviously from whatever, like 0 to up to whatever the final number is. When you mint them, are they going to be like, if I mint 10 of them in a row, am I getting 10 numbered in a row, or is it more randomly, like I might get a higher number or a low number?
Good question. We actually don't know, but what I can tell you is that we're not gonna like the number is probably not gonna have any, like unless you're a number fetishist, which is also fine, but like there isn't gonna be any meaning attached to that, right? So I think what you see in some collections, which I mean, there's two sides to it, but like some collections actually make the first ones like rather standard, but then they have a low number, right? Which is what gets some people off. And then sometimes you have, well, that's like the shitty part, right? So you have certain collections where you actually have the rare ones in the beginning, right? And then you kind of decay, but people still expect it to, become more interesting as you go. But yeah, that's not going to be the case. So you could potentially mint like 3 1-of-1s on the first 3, although unlikely. But yeah, so the number is not going to have any meaning, and but we haven't decided on if there's going to be any methodology to this. I think it's a matter of actually to what degree we can actually work with randomization, and I mean, of course, you can generate everything randomly off chain, but I mean, that's like the default, right? And I think that's still fair enough, as long as you still, as long as you hide at least what media you have behind each, like the next mint, but like still verifiably random numbers are, they just don't come out of the box for Kadena. And I know that Barbina actually has done something like this. I just haven't looked at the contract yet, but I think they actually found quite an elegant solution to go about this randomization part. But yeah, that's definitely something we still need to look at.
Now, as far as like people who enjoy rarity hunting and things like that, as you said, the rarity and things, the numbers won't really matter probably as much as the traits that get pulled for each NFT, which will then determine their rarity, right? If it pulls a whole bunch of traits that have very low percentages of actually being in the series, then of course they're going to have a higher rarity. Now, as far as the one-offs go, are those one-offs going to be top tier in the rarity no matter what? or are they going to be more thrown into the bunch?
So, I mean, by definition, they're going to be unique all the way, right? So, there's only ever going to be one head of that kind. And you basically have this across like all, I don't know how many layers we have, I think 6 or so. So yes, they're definitely going to dominate the rarity curve. But then after that, it's again, like it's a curve, right? So what you could then have is you could randomly have some NFT that happens to have 3 out of 6 layers being unique, right? Or like pretty rare. And yeah, of course, and then you also like, basically get up there, right? Because with the one of ones, it's also a matter of taste, right? I mean, some people just look at the number, but with the one of ones, we actually always have a theme. So, like you either like it or you don't, right? And if you are into, I think I can say it, like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, for instance, you're going to get a crack out of out of this particular one. But if you don't, then maybe you just don't get the reference, right? And maybe you don't like it visually, and then you can just put it on the market and find the person who is kind of pro, or loves this movie, and then you find your match, right?
Yeah, if there's a Fear and Loathing one, I'll be definitely tracking that one down somehow if I don't mint it. I'm like scrolling through now all the sneak peeks just to be like, did I miss something here? But
you can imagine.
Yeah, like like you said, it'll all come down to what the people will want. Like I'm more of a person of the late 80s through the 90s, so things that are in that genre of area I'll be more attended towards, whereas I'm not like a huge fan of like anime and things like that. So like if there's like a Dragon Ball type head or something like that, I won't lean towards that, even if it is like the number 1 ranked rarity in the collection. I'll also be like, it all really will come down to personal taste, unless, like you said, if someone's just a rarity hunter wanting that number 1 spot.
And that's a nice thing, right? I mean that's really a cool thing. Sorry to interrupt, but like I mean that's like one of the reasons why NFTs are fun, right? Like it can be a cultural reference, and you can you can imagine certain things into an image, right? Because it's randomly generated, as you said a few minutes ago, but it starts to kind of make sense, right? And we've had this so many times, like especially in the beginning, like when we had the first layers, and like we were cracking up because like I mean there were some wicked combinations, obviously, right? But like some things you would not combine this, but it totally gels, right? And the other thing is, like, there's also one reason why we put in these one of ones as cultural, like as straight cultural references, is because you have such a variety of things that you can basically pull off, right? And like this is what makes a collection exciting to us, at least, right? Just from an art standpoint. And yeah, and we just recognize that there's such a variety of people in this space, age wise, and I don't know what they're into. So let's find something, and then each to their own, right? Like everybody's gonna end up with something that they think is stimulating and what they like. Then we've done our job well.
For sure, it's like you just gotta put in like something memey for this generation, and they'll come running. Like stick a moon tattoo on the side of the bunny's face or something like that, and people will just eat that up. It's going to be very interesting to see what people think about it, because like being only like the second, well, there was mock to begin with, and then we got the pulling on my names here. Kong's launching tomorrow, which should be very interesting. It'd be interesting to see how well that goes, because I noticed that they're doing a different pricing kind of thing where it's in a USD value as opposed to a KDA value. Are you guys thinking of maybe possibly going with that or going with a KDA value?
Yeah, so right now we haven't committed on a KDA value, but we're gonna release the KDA value, I think, at the time when we do the the mint date announcement. And yeah, so I mean the Kongs, honestly, I'm not entirely sure if they're actually gonna start tomorrow. So my latest news was that they don't, but I might be wrong. So maybe they've changed it up again, but I don't think so. Anyways, so I mean, this whole pricing thing, like there's definitely a discussion like that can fill a whole space all on its own. But like we basically also stuck with the principle that we said, hey, we're basically going to quote in dollar terms, you know, until we are kind of reaching a point, right? And in the beginning, it was actually in favor of you know, of everything that was going on. And that was, you know, because there was a really good chance that KDA was going to rise again from 16 to whatever 27 or so, right? And then, you know, $100 is just for KDA, right? And think about how much that gives you at the moment. So yeah, like at that time we really didn't know like how it was going to play out. We just thought, you know, like we kind of took a benchmark of all kinds of different projects and different chains and so on and so forth. And you know, we talked to a bunch of people and we're still talking, right? So that's kind of an ongoing discussion with many people. Because of course, like that's something that can make or break a collection in the end, right? And I mean, I know you're going to ask this anyway, but what we have concluded is, you know, we're actually fine with launching or basically minting like a lower token count, right? Because we like pretty much right from the beginning on, we were never really about, hey, like we have to make this blow up like instantly, right? And so we have to have like, I don't know, 5, 8, 9,000 people in our Discord actively chatting. We also don't have any grinding on the server, right? So like these were some things where we were like a little bit unconventional, but we always had reasons for these things, right? Because like, and we can get into all of these individually, I guess, but that's just a basic philosophy behind, right? So I think in terms of the mint size, we're probably going to be anywhere between 1,000 and 2,000. So we're gonna reduce it a little bit even more. And this is just, you know, accounting for the very fact that at the moment it's just not a, you know, Kadena as an ecosystem just isn't growing, right? So you know, there isn't 5,000 new people basically aping into this ecosystem every single week and looking for places to invest, right? And I think we've seen this on a lot of like kind of good projects actually you know, play out. And you know, so we don't even want to play this game, but at the same time you know, we don't want to just throw them out there just to have them in the world. And so yeah, that's basically what you always have to balance, like what's your mint price and like what's basically the entry ticket to the party, and then, you know, how big do you want to make your collection, right? Because ideally you kind of want to undercut supply slightly in terms of numbers, and then everything else is basically going to do its magic.
Yeah, I agree. There's no sense rushing things just because of a market situation or anything like that. If anything, you're better off just waiting it out for the market to come on the upside. Because right now, like you said, it's a lot of projects do that and rush to get things going and get started and get minting and get the money coming in. But at the same time, there's just not the amount of people looking at Kadena right now and wanting to get in on it and bringing that new money to the system. It kind of seems like right now it's the same people in all of the different communities all kind of supporting each other. And right now it's just kind of like you said, it just doesn't seem, I agree that it's a rough time right now to be starting a mint, that's for sure. And but you know, if you have a nice strong community behind you and you're not, you know, doing a, you know, 20,000 mint collection or something like that, then you definitely have a much better chance of that. Now, what about things like whitelists? How far are you guys going on whitelists? Have you filled all your slots for that yet?
Mostly. So I think we're at around 500 in like a little bit. So we have at least 500 on the whitelist, I know. And then we have our OFG role, which is kind of a special task force, in our days. And then we also have two collaborations with Smash Spiders and Kitty Cat. So there we're going to have like a few more whitelist spots where we're basically pulling data off chain. Or from the chain, and we're just going to whitelist these wallet addresses, and of course with these collaborations you never really know like how many of them are actually gonna pull their option, but yeah, just like I would say like our native whitelists, we have like things we've decided that we're not gonna go for 2,500 tokens as we had previously put out there like a few months ago. Since we decided that we're definitely gonna go way lower than this, we basically stopped doing all these like mega whitelist giveaways, right? And so I mean we still do it, right? So if you do, if you're basically helping us move the needle, of course it's also going to be beneficial for us, and we want to reward this. But we don't hand them out anymore left and right. Yeah, if that answers your question.
Yeah, that makes more sense. So definitely, like the lower that you have now, assume with the lower count along with the whitelist will probably become like a max mint of 1 or 2 NFTs, just to ensure that the whole collection's not getting wiped out by the whitelisters.
Well, so that's I mean I think the highest we have is 8 whitelist spots. So and that's basically from the beginning of the project, right? And it's also just a natural thing, right? So we've had people like basically sitting on our lap from day one, which is still crazy to me. One of them, I think, is listening. Hello, Lazo. This is exceptional. Yeah. So I mean, Lazo Skill, he also joined our team like a few months ago already, this is a very, very special situation. But we've had a few other people, they were basically rooting for us when there was nothing, right? And so we don't know if they're ever going to pull their options, but like there are like 5 people or so who have these high counts, and then after that you have like more of a normal distribution of anywhere between like 1 to I guess 4 whitelist spots for like I don't know. I actually have to check the numbers on this now that you grill me on these on this thing. But yeah, in the end, it's like nothing out of the ordinary. And also, given the fact that a whitelist mint is still going to be like in the range of $100, that still fills us, right? And of course, it's nothing like KMC, right? I think in the case of KMC, somebody was minting for what was it, 30,000 KDA or so. But they didn't have any limit on mints, and we might have this on the public side, but we would probably also put a stop on the public mint, because we don't want this whaling, because this just means like this inevitably means that at some point somebody's gonna just drop the hammer, and then you have got a huge problem, and that's something that you can basically avoid right from the beginning.
Yeah, like it's good to have your whales in the community that are got into Kadena real early and are sitting on hundreds of thousands of Kadena coins, and could easily come in and just pretty much mint your entire collection themselves.
Yeah.
So like that is in one way yay, I sold all my NFTs, but in another way I now have a community of one. I know.
Yeah.
And like, well,
I mean, I don't know how many kitty cats we have collectively, the two of us. So we kind of went wild on this. But I mean, it was it was basically out of conviction, right? And like we're not planning to sell any of them anytime soon. And it's a micro cap token anyway. But yeah, like you just like that's in the end, like if you have so many different people basically having one or two tokens, like that's exactly the situation that you want to have, right? If you can somehow get it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so you said earlier that you have some integrations with Smash Spiders and Kitty Cat. Does that mean that, for example, if you hold X amount of Smash Spiders NFTs or X amount of Kitty Cat NFTs, you get a whitelist spot for Alpha Slayers?
Yep, exactly. So I think like I forget the like we have a few numbers which matter, but I guess like the most reasonable ones are I think 15 kitty cats for one whitelist, of which there are like a lot of wallets that have this, and I think five for the like for every five spiders you get one, and then we also made a deal with them that for anyone who has, I think, 25, they get a free mint. And yeah, but that, I think there are just like two people that have this. So yeah, that's fine.
Well, I'm halfway to 25. I have 12 Smash Spiders myself.
All right.
So.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I mean, since we're at it, I think it's also something that I should disclose here. So we actually know the team behind this, and we also help them with like some of the technical stuff. So I was working with them for a few weeks, which was actually great for me because like that was the first time I got my hands on like this whole crazy packed documentation, right? Which I don't know how technical you guys in the audience are, but like it's interesting to say the least. But yeah, like this is basically how this whole thing came about. And then like in the what we actually were planning to do was keep them totally separated and do like some random collaboration at some point, right? But then like what happened unfortunately was there was like a pretty uh, like an overly nervous backlash right in the beginning when they launched, and like this was completely out of out of line with what they were up to, and so then we kind of sat down with them and we said, okay, so let's we're happy to lend you our the reputation that we've built, and we're gonna help you basically get going, and that's also how then this collaboration came into like where we kind of extended this collaboration to this also like these whitelist situation, right? And yeah, that's basically the backstory to this, because like it's been floating around here and there, and I think it's just fair to mention this, and it's also been a lot of fun, right? So those are like super geeks, but very very nice guys, and yeah, it's super interesting what they've achieved, right? Like I'm actually a little bit jealous of their numbers to be quite frank, but yeah. That's I think important to note in that context.
Well, even with the numbers that they've done, it's good to show that it's like a proof of work kind of thing, that people are wanting to go out there and mint NFTs on Kadena. I've seen like pretty much all of the projects that have started minting in the last it's only been a couple of weeks now, have some of them are over 50% minted, some have almost completed minted. So it's really inspiring to see that people are very interested in getting into the NFT game, and KadeFi Money is very quick to integrate NFTs so that people can be able to see them, and hopefully soon an actual wallet will come out where you'll be able to see NFTs in your wallet. That would be very handy as well. So, but it's just like you said, more projects and more. All the projects kind of help each other, and everyone helps build off of each other. And the more projects that do that and work together, the quicker this ecosystem is going to take off.
And that's exactly the spirit, right? And so I'm glad that you're bringing this up. And I mean, I know we've been talking about this before, right? And we have this fantastic Twitter bonanza coming up tomorrow. But that's exactly the gameplay, right? So we've seen it work on Terra beautifully, right? There was like actually sticking together, right? And of course, like people also got their fingers slapped, right? Like if there were some that were basically doing stupid things, right, or they were identified as instant, shady projects, like they would not get this kind of support, right? And this is exactly the culture that we have to build up, right? And this isn't something that you can just do as a single project, right? Like, of course, we can slay around and tell people, hey, check their following, like, or check their Discord. There's like 120 people out of 20,000 people online at any given point in time. Like, of course, you can always call them out individually, right? But like, I mean, it sounds super, super corny, but together you can achieve way, way, way more, right? And so yeah, I think that's also really the name of the game at the moment, right? Like given the market conditions, right? I mean, you can cry as long as you want, but you can also just sit down and get some stuff done, right? And form relationships with people that are kind of sticking in this damn Twitter space right now, right? Because you can't just take this for valuable resource on this right now, so you might as well make it count for them, right? And I think that like Kadena is actually a super super friendly space compared to a few other ecosystems that I've peeked into, and so you can really work with this, right? And yeah, I'm super 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 excited about these things coming up, and yeah, really really hope that this is gonna, that we're gonna be a community where people are watching out for the others, right? Because like, I mean, greed is something that is unfortunately very universal to humans, right? And crypto just makes it all that much easier to basically exploit people that just don't have a clue of what's going on and how to like figure out if something is legit or not, right? And so but like one foul act basically destroys the whole cake, right? And so that's something that we would really like to avoid, right? So really appreciate also you guys stepping forward and basically giving these stages and also like basically putting a filter on it, not collaborating with every project there is, right? And so that like if we do this like 5, 6, 7 projects in a row, and people are basically turning others down because things don't look like 100% as they could. That's the way how this should be done. And but just to finish this out, like we actually had this exact case, I think 2 days ago, and I don't want to mention a name right now, but it was so obvious. They basically launched 2 days earlier, already had like their Twitter filled, right? But like you can see by the following, like the people that are joining into these projects, like they have zero to do with this ecosystem. And I mean, as much as everybody is kind of looking for new talent, new capital, new ideas, that's just not how it works, right? So you have to actually, I think, in a system when you're planning to launch there, and then you can go big, right? And that's also cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the whole thing of greed and bad actors. This space is known; it can be very much known for that. Crypto is, with the anonymity. I can never say that word. Anyhow, that comes along with crypto. The fact that nowadays online you can pretty much have your own kind of persona and then disappear into the woodworks is a very prevalent danger when it comes to investing in pretty much anything nowadays. And you got to do your definite diligence when it comes to any of these upcoming projects or anything. Some quick little ways that I like to throw out that most people don't think of is simple things like Google image searches. When a new NFT project when a new NFT project announces itself, take their pictures that they put up as sneak peeks and stuff, and put them into a Google image search. And if they come up as like OpenSeas or on any other market as showing similar things, it's most likely a fake. That's a very bad sign. Yeah. Little things like that are very easy to check out. But here at KPN, we're very much more of like I say to my coworkers there that I look at it like a soapbox, where we give people their box to come and present themselves to the community, but it's still the community's responsibility to do their due diligence before investing in any of these things. Like who knows down the road what could happen. I've been in other crypto communities, like you said, all it takes is one really bad thing to happen that can just take down an entire community. For example, Terra, with their whole debacle that they had, pretty much tore through that community. So something bad like that can happen at any moment, but it's as long as you're building a good, strong community behind it by doing what you guys and other projects are doing, and that is working together and solidifying and making sure that those bad actors, because they'll present themselves when they refuse to want to work with you or refuse to want to share certain information with you. Those are telltale signs. So it's good to have the community backing you. So I'm glad to hear that you guys are also, along with us here, is just kind of looking out for the community and making sure that these bad actors kind of stay away. Because anyone can buy for a couple $100 10,000 Twitter followers.
Exactly.
Like in a matter of minutes you'll have them. So that's not a good metric to go by.
Yeah, but I mean, unfortunately, it still works. Yes, and so you often have people have all kinds of metrics for what's good and bad, and if you come from, I just take Ethereum as an example, right? Because it's certainly the most extreme one. But if you're used to having like basically every Ethereum project there's no Ethereum project that is even noticed that has like below 30,000 followers, right? So if you're used to that and you're starting to explore new stuff, and you don't put like this crazy filter on it, then like this is kind of the benchmark that you're looking for, right? And especially the ones that are not as experienced and maybe didn't get into really cool stuff on these major chains, right? They might be starting to explore, right? And then they see, oh, interesting, there is a project that has like 20,000 followers and it's like on an unknown chain. It's by far the biggest, right? So it must be good. Yeah. Oh, and there's still whitelist open, and it's actually a discount of like 2 KDA, so I can't lose. Yeah. Homer Simpson. And that is exactly the kind of thought process that goes on in many people's heads, many more than maybe not in this audience, right? But could be. But that's not like I mean, to some extent, of course, you want to look for certain numbers, right? And you have to have like some metrics in your head. But like certainly on Kadena, you have to scale it down by so much because like the number of people that even know about Kadena is probably limited to like how many people do they have in their Discord? 20,000? That's not much. It's nothing. That's less than like a mediocre Ethereum NFT project has on their like in their shady Telegram group, right? So it's not so easy, and I think especially for the ones that are basically falling for either like these numbers or also influencers, that are basically luring people into this or the other place. Like I think that's just sad, but that's also not who we're talking to today, right? So I mean, just looking around, like I've seen all those pictures like a few times in all places, right? So we know each other, right? And like, I don't know how many times Estezera has listened to my voice already, right? I don't know what he's trying to get out of this really, but like he's still there, right? So do you want him to get wrecked? No, So next time, like I'm seeing something where he's trying to shill me with something where that's obviously dubious, I'm just gonna have a proper conversation with him. And that's basically how like we're going to be building these relationships and how we're going to build this core. And I think for everybody who actually gets into this inner circle, if you will, right, which might just be 100 people right now, or like 500 even, good for them, right? If Kadena 15x's or something, right, the token price, all of a sudden we're going to have 10 times as many people looking out for NFTs, right? And then it's a whole different discussion. Yeah? And this is how it worked, like pretty much on every chain where, especially NFT projects, have kind of taken root, and where you had like a productive atmosphere going around.
It's really all about timing, really. Like Bay Yacht Club, like really, is their art really that great? Like they're just really apes. There's nothing really that special about them. And quite honestly, they don't have any real utility to them. Like you don't get anything for holding them. Like there's no real benefits to owning one of these things other than saying that you own one of them. But at the same time, it was just at the right place at the right time, and it was the project that just struck the match at the proper timing. So really, when it comes down to Kadena and the projects on it, any one of these projects that are coming out could be that next kind of next Bay Yacht Club type project and do all these crazy mints and crazy numbers and stuff. But that's just it's just a matter of waiting and seeing really where the market takes us.
I tend to disagree on one point, though. So I think I really have to cut them some slack, because I think what they've done exceptionally well is execution, right? So, I mean, timing was probably fortunate, but they've basically nailed this whole game, right? So both on the marketing side as well as on the execution side, with basically tripling their or technically doubling their community through these mutants, and then they were delivering like exciting experiences based on this token. Yeah. And I think this is something that we also, as a Kadena community, can like including us, we can really learn from this, and also get more into this execution mode, and basically do things that are unconventional, right? Because this is what makes this whole thing interesting, like just from an experience standpoint, right? And but yeah, in principle, of course, timing does play a role. But another thing that I think kind of falls into the same category that I was speaking about earlier is you're probably not going to get to such an OG level just by copying the same concept all over again, right? And of course, this can have many different shapes and forms. But I mean, I see a punk in here, right, and like a few apes. So that's cool, but like what I'm missing sometimes, like, and there's nothing new on Kadena, right? Like you've seen it literally on every single chain. You always have some kind of ape, you always have some kind of punk, you always have some kind of birds now, right? And then you have your dogs and you're this and you're that. Like that's all cool, but like this alone isn't going to bring it home, right? And like I understand why projects are basically making this decision, but what I'm really hoping for is that we also get to the point where we actually have innovative art projects, right? So something like on-chain art generation, because all of this is possible with Pact, right? Like you can just do it, and I think this is then also going to check or it's basically going to take the whole space to a whole new level, and that's basically what then also drives all the other projects around, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Now, I should correct myself when I said that there was no utility to the Bay Yacht Clubs. Like, obviously, they were dropped, the mutators, they were dropped, and those tokens, the fact that now you have actual companies accepting their tokens for payment and weird things like that. So there is definitely, there is a definite way that they are leading the pact in ways to bring themselves more to the mainstream, to the people and stuff, through things like you said, through their marketing was very well done. But again, yeah, timing was also a factor. And I do find that almost every NFT platform, be it Ethereum, Solana, any different network that has a strong NFT community in it, they all kind of have like their blue chip project, like the leading project that is like the king of all the projects at the highest floor price and the most volume and all that stuff. And it'll be very interesting to see the battle on Kadena, to see what project will be coming out on top for that, because there's so many different great projects that are either being built right now or have already come out. Like you never know, like one of these projects that have already started minting could be that next project, or it still hasn't even presented itself to them, because we're just so early, and depending on also which way the market tends to go. So yeah, it's very, very exciting times. Like we're so early in everything, and it's been building so exponentially fast in the past month or so that who knows, by the end of the year we're going to have a whole different ecosystem from what we see now.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's pretty much a carbon copy of what you've seen on Terra, right? And it just takes, like, of course, the Terra story, like taking the whole disaster out of the equation for now, because that all has happened after the crazy surge. I mean, for them, of course, they were like, this whole NFT game started at a different point in time, right? So like basically everything was up, and there were like all the teams in the Terra space were cranking out projects left and right. DeFi was coming, and then like all these crazy run-ups and so on. So we're not in the exact same situation for sure, but this doesn't mean that the like in the end, like the same effect can happen, right? And like if you just look at the Luna bulls, like I think they were probably bigger in terms of number, in terms of numbers, than again like the official Kadena, right? And it was just because they were such a tight knit group, right? And they were basically ruling the parts of the Terraverse, and and this is just attractive to people, right? Like people actually like to be associated with these things, and it's fun. It's also interesting, and you get to hang out with a certain crowd, and when everything is up, then of course also the spirits are high. But like eventually we can definitely get to the same place, right? And I think at the moment, I mean, if you just look at the implementation of some of these contracts, like it's definitely not at the level where like every single mint is like on point, right? Like speaking of, I mean, also for the spiders, to be honest, we didn't bother using Marmalade, right? Because at the time we started, it just wasn't released. So like all these kind of bits and pieces, they kind of have to fall into place somehow. But like in the end, I think like 3-4 years from now, like nobody's even gonna look back at this, like maybe just with a smile on their face, right? At best. But that's like kind of a time horizon that I think projects should be looking at if they're starting today, right? And of course it's not easy, right? So we're like roughly half a year in now, and like it's a challenge, right? Like you get messages like every single day, right? And like somebody wants something, right? And like many times this is actually a legitimate request, and then you have to get back to it, and like it can be draining, right? And like many people have no idea that about any of this. But yeah, everybody who's basically sticking around, is eventually going to figure this out, right? Like for instance, I'm seeing Kadena Weep in here, right? This is one of the first projects I ever saw when we actually took a look at the space, and by the way, I don't know exactly like how your project is going right now, pal, but like just the mere fact that you're still around, like since I think 21 at some point, that's quite amazing to me, right? And just keep persistent, right? And do what you want to do. And we talk in 3 years.
We actually just did an AMA with them last week, I think, or the week before, and very interesting project. And it's up on our SoundCloud if anyone hasn't listened to it yet, and it should still be on our Twitter. It's there for 30 days. So, yeah, it's amazing to see the people that are building and. Like you said, that aren't rushing things like when I was speaking with Kadena Weave, he's in no real rush to get things out there. Just he wants to build it right, build it correctly, and have a working product and have everything done right. And it's good to see that projects like you and Kadena Weave, others aren't just rushing to get the money coming into the wallets and things like that. It gives a lot more ease to people who do see that and do stick around, because that's a sign that they're not here just to get their buck and get out. They're here for the long haul to make the ecosystem better for everyone, not just their own projects.
Good point.
Now, besides the announcement of the fact that you guys have teamed up with Hypercent for a launch pad, got any other alpha news you care to maybe share that you weren't supposed to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really glad that we actually had such a long discussion on the art. Really, really appreciate these questions because we haven't done this in a while. So one thing that we've recently started is actually we've launched a few videos on YouTube. So if you guys haven't seen this yet, you might want to check this out. And so in terms of alpha, I think there's actually something. It's definitely something that has made me kind of well off, and that is. I'm kind of big into market neutral trading strategies. So we've talked about this for quite some time during a space earlier today. If you guys are into that kind of thing, then this might be something for you, right? Like it's certainly more complex than just moving money from your credit card into like some token on Binance. If you actually care to put in some work and understand like how all these things work, then I can tell you right now, like I've been like my annual return on this is like anywhere between 60 to 80% and extremely low risk. Yeah. So, but that's just the way I've tweaked the system. And again, like this isn't something that you just do like in 2 hours, right? Like it actually takes a little bit of diligence and learning and consistency to get into it and like to really understand what the hell is going on. If you're willing to to invest this time, then you can basically take care of yourself, right? And I think that might be the best alpha information that you could ever get. That's I think one bit. And there's another thing that I also wanted to talk about, so like very briefly. So you guys might have noticed that the KMC, KMC basically released their a little bit more of their mint, and I wouldn't necessarily call this alpha news, but what I think a lot of people get wrong is the fact that they're not minting out doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the project being bad. Yeah, so we've talked to Matt multiple times now, and he's a super diligent and hardworking guy. I think the problem is just that in absolute terms, the numbers that they're trying to move are extremely high. Like if you compare it to the ecosystem as a whole, right? So just to put some numbers behind this, Kadena market cap is around 360 million. And the total raise that KMC is going for, like if they were to sell out every single token, then they're looking at a little bit more than 3 million, right? So if you just compare these two numbers, then you're moving 1% of the total market cap of a layer one into a single project, right? So I know that this doesn't play out 100% like this, but it's not totally off, right? And this is actually pro project, right? And I just think that many people don't think of it this way, and therefore might not invest, right? And might be watching this damn mint number not go up, right? And therefore not invest. And that was kind of something that we've tried to clean up in in the Alpha Slayer space recently, because like if you actually want to get into minting, then this is probably the lowest friction version that you can get, right? So yada yada yada, no financial advice and so on, but like think about what the actual implications of a certain decision are of a project and what it means for the psychology of others, right? And then what this means on the actual value of the project, right? This is just like, it sounds kind of like dad talk, but you know, that's literally what's behind this, right?
Yeah, people don't understand really what all also goes into something that they're trying to build as well. Like for example, like the miner systems that they want to buy are not cheap. You're looking at a minimum of like $12,000 to up to $20,000 a piece. So just to buy just to buy 100 of those, you're looking at over $200,000, and like numbers can really start to get staggering. But it also have to look at what they're bringing to the ecosystem at the same time, and what you can get out of it for it all comes down to your own personal ROI and what your term goals are. If you're a short-term goaler or you're a long-term goaler, like if you're young, if you're in your early 20s or something, go long, crypto is going to be have a 30-year plan of thinking like what's going to happen when I'm 50, and set like a retire at 50 on crypto kind of thing, and then work your way back from there. And like, next thing you know, I'm retiring at 45. And next thing you know, I'm retiring at 40. And next thing you know, I'm 35 and I'm retired with a mansion. It's it's all about how you have to strategize and when you look into projects. And again, do your own diligence and decide what's safe for you. Really is what it really comes down to.
Yeah, good point.
Awesome. Well, if anyone has any questions, definitely feel free to also step up and send a request to speak. But yeah, that's awesome to hear that you guys have nailed down that you're going with Hypercent and you're going to be releasing through them. I'm glad to see, like, it takes a lot of the burden off of your shoulders as well, right? Like, a lot of people don't realize that what all is involved. Like, oh, we'll just do the minting on our own website. Well, there's a lot involved when it comes down to minting a collection of NFTs, especially when you have whitelist address involved and all those kind of aspects. So having a launch pad handle those things for you is almost a no-brainer, really, to me. So happy to see that you've decided to go that route.
Yeah. I mean, I fully agree. Like the moment we had this agreement, like we actually had peace of mind, right? Because I mean, I actually know how to write code, and I've been doing it for a few years, and so like I can build these things, and like also Marmalade, like I've gotten into now. But if I start writing code, then I'm basically absent for days, if not weeks. Yeah, because there is no way you can do these things at the same time, and therefore going with something like Hypercent, where they specialize in this, or also mint it. Once they release it for everybody to use, then this definitely drives down the barriers. Although I will say that, of course, the more you reduce the friction on the technical side, the more shady stuff you get into your system, right? And this is just the nature of it, right? So if a pure play marketer is able to just push a button and generate everything, you cannot expect them to build anything interesting down the line, right? This isn't, maybe it's not needed, right? But like, don't look at their roadmap, right? And if you know, if they don't have the capacity to actually execute some of these things, you know, it's basically an empty promise, right? And they might end up finding somebody that can build in something specific for them, but more often than not, this is not the case, right? Like not fighting anything here, right? I still think it's fantastic to actually have this tooling in place, and I would definitely use it instantly. But this is then really the moment where you have like all of a sudden 10 projects launching in a week, right? And this right now is still not the case. Yeah.
Well, no matter when you guys plan on launching your NFT, I'm sure you guys will have no problem definitely going through a large amount of mints between just the people who have minted Smash Spiders. I'm sure a lot of them will definitely be involved. I know I'll be definitely getting involved. So because one of the you guys were one of the very first projects as well that I found when I got into Kadena, and the bunnies had me sold right away. So definitely will be interesting to. Definitely looking forward to that day when it comes. And like I said, I'm in no hurry. The market's in no hurry. So you're better off to take your time and do things right than to rush things out the door. So just keep building in the background. And whenever you guys have anything to share, we're right here to let you guys have your voices be heard.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thanks a ton, man. Thanks for all your support. It's been great. I also know that you actually supported the spiders very early on. So yeah, that's definitely appreciated. And yeah, so amazing what you guys are doing. Keep doing it. And I think we're gonna be seeing each other tomorrow again, right? Are you joining?
Yep, tomorrow. So for everyone listening, tomorrow we're doing a group roundtable discussion. Action_CEO is going to be hosting it along with Howling from the Alpha team. They're going to be hosting, and we got people from Crank. Let me find a thing. We have Crank, Crypto Merch, KD Launch. Who else was it? Alpha Slayers, of course. And there was one more that I'm missing here. I got the graphic here somewhere. Here we go. Yeah, so it's going to be tomorrow at 6 p.m. UTC, so 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we got Crank, Alpha Slayers, Smash Spiders, that's who I was missing, myself, Crypto Merch, and KD Launch. So should definitely be a good discussion.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys go, and the links are up on my Twitter. I believe also it was retweeted by our Kadena project Twitter as well. So make sure you guys go set your reminders for that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for. Yeah, I look forward to talking to you guys tomorrow. It should definitely be a good discussion. It's good to get a whole bunch of different projects together and just let people shoot things back and forth off of each other. I'm sure we'll be learning things from one another, that's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks, man. Thanks for
all right, well, thank you.
Everybody for
of course. Yeah, so thank you everyone for coming out tonight to another awesome AMA with Alpha Slayers Club. So make sure you guys go follow them on Twitter, join their Discords, go and subscribe to their new YouTube channel. Make sure to do that as well. And we will definitely check you guys out next time. Take care.
Yeah, thanks a ton, man. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
That wraps up another amazing AMA. Thank you for listening. Here at KPN, we strive to bring an open platform for projects being built on Kadena to present themselves to the community. Please ensure to do your own research on each project before investing. Also, make sure to follow us on our social media, from Twitter to subscribing to our weekly newsletter. All the links can be found directly on our SoundCloud profile page. Thank you very much for listening, and take care.